I'm Samantha Simpson, and today we're going to do an easy Bowspring practice for when you're at work or at home, and we're going to use the chair as a prop. So one of the really great things about the Bowspring is you can insert it into your everyday life, and especially helpful is this when you're sitting at a desk all day, or you're sitting down all day and you want to feel good in your body and you want to have energy when you go home to do fun things instead of just go home and sit down some more. So we'll start by coming to a seat in the chair if you're not already seated. Make it a conscious sitting process. So I'll back up to where the chair is, get rooted in the paws of my feet, so the front part of my feet. And then I'll keep the belly long, point the pubic bone toward the chair as I lift the tailbone up. And knees will gently resist each other as I lower down to keep the backs of the legs engaged. And I'll just sit at the front part of the chair. Actually, I'll even move forward a little bit more to a enlivened seat. So sitting this way, you have more energy, more capacity for movement. We're not stuck in a slump. We're not interfering with anything going on in the gut, any digestion. We're keeping it long and open. And really finding a vitality just in sitting down. So when I'm sitting, I'm not sitting on my tailbone or my butt. I'm actually sitting on my thigh bone. So get acquainted with the backs of your legs. And you can even pick up the flesh of your butt and move it up and back. So separate, move back. My feet here are forward of my kneecaps. And the heels are light. I'm pressing the balls of the feet into the floor, energetically dragging the heels back to get a nice tone on the back of the leg. There we go. And then from there, I pay attention to my rib cage, which is buoyant and expanding in all directions. In this way, I can feel like my rib cage sort of lifts me up underneath my shoulder girdle, and my shoulder saddle is perched on top of this conical, cylindrical rib cage. Okay. With the shoulder saddle perched atop a cylindrical rib cage, my arms are straight. I'll bring dome hand to the top of the thigh. And then just feeling into this vibrant and radiant posture. And then leaning back our bones into the back body. With the resistance from the paw and the earth, I can lean back into that. It's sort of like I'm floating. Elbows lift, heart full, head back. From here, I'm going to take and rise the arms to a chin-up bar position. So elbows are forward, upper arms are parallel with the floor, and the lower arms are perpendicular. I've got the hand into a cupping shape. And looking at your elbow creases, try to soften that area there. And try to see if we can get as much tone on the bottom part of the arm as on the top. Keep the head back and then raise the elbows a little bit more. Bring the dome hands to the sides of the head for ecstasy. So dome with the palm, soft fingers, tips of the fingers are on the head. Pressure your head back, broaden the shoulders. And then we're going to crescent to the right. Keep the neck long, but tilt the right ear to the right shoulder. Let the left ribs expand here and allow the left shoulder blade to come up off the back. So this arm, hand area, arm, hand, shoulder area is called your wing. Let your wing slide and glide off the rib cage as you crescent. You can take a right hand to left elbow and resist into that, feeling the wing attachment all the way down the side of the ribs. Give it a couple rocks. This is a great thing to do in your chair at work. Inhale, come back up. Replace the hands back to ecstasy. Simplify. Find the posture. And then crescent left. Left ear tilts to left shoulder. Both sides of the ribs expanding. So we're not collapsing to the left here. This stays big and full. If you don't know if your left ribs are still full, you can bring a hand there to check. Keep fullness there. Okay? And then the left hand can go to a right elbow. Resisting always, so head goes back into hand, elbow goes into other hand, right ribs, lift and stretch, right shoulder, right wing comes off the rib cage. And I can tell there's more room in my abdominal area now. My waist is longer. And then back to ecstasy. Release the arms. Step your feet wide. So step wide, step wide. And then we'll bring the arms forward to a V shape. Elbows lift. And start tilting forward. So I'm maintaining an engagement of the back of the legs with a dig draw of the paw of the foot. In case you forgot, a dig draw is when we press the paw of our foot down and energetically drag the heels back. So we get a back of the leg engagement here. See if you can lean forward without losing the lumbar, the inward lumbar curve of the spine. So once you've tucked the tailbone, you've lost the integrity of the pose. Maybe come up a little bit higher and rock forward more subtly. Bring the hands back to ecstasy. Energetically press the knees away from each other. Keep the glutes mounting upward. Keep the paws dragging back. And start to lift up. Fullness in the low back ribs as we back bend, belly open. Eyes start to look at the ceiling. And release. Swivel on your right paw. So the right paw stays on the earth, but the right heel swivels inward. So the right heel lines up with the left instep. Slide your right lower arm to the inside of your right thigh. Use that as a strut. Swing your left hand to ecstasy. And then start to crescent once more. Left ribs rise. Right ear tilts towards right shoulder. And then we can start to bow. So open the belly longer. More space between your breastbone and your pubic bone. The belly opens. The side ribs open. The jaw opens. Side coil pose on the chair. And then lift up with integrity. And then we'll switch the feet. So the right heel swivels back. The left heel swivels in. Left forearm inside the left thigh. And use that connection with a resistance. So the thigh resists into the arm resists into the thigh. Start to rotate at the trunk here. Left hand, right hand comes to ecstasy. Bow your belly. Pubis and sternum separate. Now arc, right ribs lift towards the ceiling, and maybe find a pulse here. Side coil is one of the more challenging bowspring poses, especially when standing. And release. Now we're going to do some additional poses standing up using the chair. So come to standing consciously. So the paws are rooted, the tailbone lifts, the belly stays long, the eyes are at the horizon, and then lean forward, knees resist, come to stand with the belly long. Make every movement of the day conscious. We'll come to the back of your chair, your countertop, or a desk. Whatever you could use works. So the world is your playground. The world is full of props everywhere. So whatever you can find works. So I'm going to use the back of this chair. I'm going to get it to a wide-legged stance. Get light on the heels, knees bent, hip creases. And I'm going to take 2 seed hands to the back of the chair and use that to hook on. Elbows lift, and I'm going to use that to pry my rib cage away from my hips. I'm pulling upward from the upward half of my body. The lower half of my body is staying rooted down. A couple pulses here. Then I'll tilt left ear, left shoulder. Right ribs on the rise. So it's a right side crescent here. And the right shoulder lifts and glides off the rib cage. And then I'll come back up center. And then crescent to the right. Right ear tilts towards the right shoulder. Left shoulder glides off the rib cage, belly gets long, side gets long. Beautiful. It's a fun thing to do in the middle of the day to re-energize, to open up the side body, which gets kind of stuck. All right, for the next position, I'll use the chair as resistance for my leg, and you can use any piece of furniture for this. So we'll come to earth pose, and then I'll take my back foot and I'll grab it onto the furniture and use that as a pull up. So I'm using this to find engagement on the back side of my leg. So I'm actually pulling up. I could even lift the chair. That's the kind of energy I'm putting into the chair right now. And this one is really energizing. And then I'll switch consciously. Big drag to lift. Make a connection with your prop. Maintain the fullness and lightness of the rib cage. And using the prop, you can have access to this challenging one-legged pose. And then replace. And I'll walk to the front of my chair for a little bit of hip opening. So take one leg to the top of a chair or a stool, whatever you're using as your prop. And the higher it is, the harder it's going to be to maintain the double S curve of the spine. So choose your height wisely. So I'm pretty flexible in my hips, so I get a higher height here. And I'm pressing the paw into the chair, and I'm dragging it back. So the back side of my leg is still engaged here. And I can do a couple pulses here. This is getting deep into the hip socket. And I'm still toning at the same time. So you can stay here and keep it this, or you can take it up a notch. I'll cross the opposite hand to the knee, and then I'll take one hand into ecstasy, and I'll do a little twisting action here. And the twisting action is not from the neck and the arm. That's too easy. That's where we're most flexible. The twisting action is going to be at this lower rib cage area. There's not a lot of movement there, you might notice. Maybe you don't move at all, but you can feel it. That's good. Use your breath as a pump when you move. Your pulse, inhale, exhale back. And release. Other side. Square leg on the chair. Get that dig drag action to turn on the back side of the leg. And we'll pulse here, working on a hip opening action. And you might do this for a little bit longer. And then we'll cross opposite hand to opposite knee. Ecstasy, the other hand, for a twist here. So one reminder that I use to prevent myself from just twisting at the neck is I try to line up my chin with my sternum, my breastbone. And I'll keep those in line. Twisting at the low rib area. Using the breath like a pump. And then release. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you can find ways to work mindful movement into your everyday life. Thank you for joining.